I'd like to call this meeting to order. I'd like to begin by acknowledging the land on which we gather is the traditional territory of Anishinaabe, Ottawa, and Mississauga peoples. I'd like to send regrets from Councillor Palmer at this time. Number 2, confirmation of the agenda that the Council of Township of North Huron hereby approves the agenda for October 21, 2024 council meeting as presented. May I have a mover? Deputy Reeves, seconder, Councillor Wright, all in favor? Carried. Disclosure of pecuniary interest and the general nature thereof. Seeing none. Consent agenda that the Council of the Township of North Huron hereby adopts consent items 4.1.1 to 4.1.2, and further that the Council of the Township of North Huron hereby receives consent items 4.1.3 to 4.3.2 for information purposes. May I have a mover? Councillor Van Hitterson, Councillor Whitfield. Are there any items that you'd like to pull at this time, councillors? Deputy Reed, please. Microphone.
Yeah, I believe I don't recall having the land acknowledgement. We start with that? Unless I was daydreaming. Did he? Okay,
Yeah.
sorry, I just.
Yeah. Sorry. Okay. Okay. Okay, nothing anybody wants pulled? Okay, go ahead. Okay. I have a mover in a second on that one. Yeah. All in favor? Carried. Public hearings, delegations, none, staff reports. 6.4.1 BE 2024-07 noise control regulations. That the Council of the Township of North Huron hereby receives a report from Director of Public Works and Facilities dated October 21, 24 regarding noise control regulation investigations for information purposes, and further that the council directs staff to proceed with options 1 as identified in the staff report BE 2024-07 as it relates to implementation of sound levels in the township's noise bylaw. I have a mover and a seconder before we open up for discussion. Deputy Reeve, Councillor Van Hitterson. Are there any questions for Director McAllister, please? Go ahead, Councillor Wright, please.
Through you, Reeve. Not really a direct question, but just a couple comments. First of all, this was passed by, the motion was passed by council some time ago, so I understand why memories may have faded, but the motion of council was specific to generators. And my understanding is from talking to the Director of Public Works that the options as presented kind of lost track of that they were going to provide options to a wide variety of noise complaints and not just specifically to generators or other pieces of equipment. And so also, you know, I think there are some other options out there that could be much less burdensome for staff and staff time and staff training with regards to solving the particular problem of loud equipment, loud generators, as opposed to try to solve a wide variety of issues. So, you know, I think it would be a good idea just to defer this to a later date in order to just give staff some additional time to look into these other options specific for generators and loud pieces of equipment.
So yeah, so I guess for council's benefit, the motion in the previous motion from 2023 in the report is to include decibel, direct staff to update the township's noise bylaw to include decibel readings for permanently installed equipment to address noise levels in residential areas for council's consideration. So that's the motion Councilor Wright's referring to. It's I guess I'd say it's more than just generators, it's permanently installed equipment. But ultimately, council has to provide direction to staff on how you want to proceed, whether you want to proceed with the motion on the floor, whether you want to refer it back to staff for additional information. It's entirely at the discretion of council. So if there's more discussion, that can happen. If there's
Okay.
not more discussion, you have a motion on the floor that you'd put to a vote. If that's defeated, then you'd move on to the next motion.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor as of now. And we have mover and a seconder. We'll take a vote on
Sorry,
this.
point of clarification, what's the motion on the floor?
With option one.
Yeah, so the motion on the floor is that the Council of the Township of North Huron hereby receives the report from the Director of Public Works and Facilities dated October 21st, 2024 regarding noise control regulation investigations for information purposes. And further, that council directs staff to proceed with option number 1 as identified in staff report BE 2024-07 as it relates to the implementation of sound levels in the township's noise bylaw. Option number 1 in the report is described as council directs staff to no longer proceed with drafting an update to the noise bylaw to include sound levels, given the noise regulations of comparative municipalities, as well as the increased costs and current bylaw enforcement staffing levels. This is the recommended option by staff. So that's what is noted in the report as the description of option 1. Your mover of that motion currently right now is Deputy Reeve Falconer, and your seconder is Councillor Van Hitterson.
Can I say something?
Yep.
Yeah, thank you very much, Reeve. I am worried to pick out certain pieces of equipment because for somebody, a piece of equipment will be very bothersome. And for another one, as we can read in the report, there's more complaints about barking dogs or screaming children or parties. I think it's very hard to set a certain level. So I totally go for option 1 and yeah, this whole thing was based on one complaint about a generator who was going for 20 minutes once a week. So I think there's every concern must be taken seriously, but it's part of life that sometimes things are bothered.
Councillor Wright, please.
Yes, well, I'll refer to the report, which basically confirms that loud noise is considered pollution by the government of Ontario. It's just they do not have the authority to enforce rules with residential properties, only industrial properties. Option 1 basically says, yeah, we're going to allow noise pollution within our municipality, not do anything about that. I have a hard time with that option. Like I said, I think there's other options other than the 2 presented. We just need to give staff some time to look at those. Those are my thoughts, Reeve.
You. Okay, we have it down. Is there any other discussion? Seeing none, take it, vote at this time in favor of option 1. See your hands? Carried.
Sorry, Reeve, I didn't see your vote.
I had my hand up, sir.
Okay.
CS 2024-14 North Huron deaccessioning project report number 16. Questions for Denise that at this time may have a mover and a seconder. Councillor Whitfield, seconder, Deputy Reeve. Okay, through this for deaccessioning number 1116. Are there any questions for our Denise at this time? Pretty straightforward this is. All in favor? Carried. 6.6.2 CS 2024-15 North Huron Museum deaccessioning project, direction of non-accessioned items. From this, the staff has recommended option number 2 as being the least costly. Are there any questions for Denise with this one?
It's not really a question, but maybe for the public that she can give a little bit of an explanation why the option 2 was preferably.
Maybe I'll ask Denise to come to the microphone, please.
I just wanted to bring up option 2. So option 2 is prepare a list of the items and offer these items to the Huron County Museum. The remaining items would be offered to other cultural institutions. All remaining items would be included in a public auction. So this is the closest option to the current deaccessioning policy without having to accession all these items and then eventually deaccessioning those items. So it would be time consuming to do option one.
Go ahead, question, please.
Thank you. Yeah, our main problem is that these items are not really
Part of the collection.
of the collection.
Sorry, yes.
And this is the most affordable way to get them registered and get them out to the museum or to anybody who is interested in it.
That is correct.
Thank you very much.
Councillor Wright, please.
Yeah, my question is with option two, and I think this probably aligns with the deaccessioning policy, but just for clarity, through what happens if items are not actually bid on in public auction? So they're basically, there's no interest in them at all.
Thank you. Go ahead.
So then they would go through the actual part of the policy for disposal. So they would be deemed if they could not be. So again, we would try to definitely, if there is a good item, we're not just going to be throwing it out. We are going to be trying to find a home for it.
Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, for clarification though, doesn't finding the home for these things precede the auction?
No. So, or sorry, finding a home or back to their original donors? Like back to their home is not part of the option. If you were meaning that we were trying to find a home for the in the Huron County Museum and cultural institutions.
So to clarify my question, option two says prepare a list of items, offer the items to Huron County Museum. The remaining items would be offered to other cultural institutions. All remaining items would be included in public auction. So it seems to me that all the items included in public auction have no interest to other cultural facilities. So that's the basis of my question, is what happens to these items that, for lack of a better term, nobody wants?
Then we'd have to find another, if they are in good state and do not need to be disposed of, then we would have to find another, we would keep going.
I'll ask Director C.L. Evans, please.
Thanks, Your Worship. So just going back to the report, if you look at the background information, the fourth bullet point, it reads, as a final option at the end of deaccessioning project, museum object and or archival material will undergo intentional destruction before two witnesses by designated museum personnel or disposed of in a fashion that ensures it cannot be reconstructed in any way. So I would suggest after the auction has taken place, if there's still remaining items, then we would proceed to destroy those items in accordance with that policy.
That's,
So can we have this option in the motion? I guess, can we add that to this?
Sure.
Just for clarification.
It's through your worship to answer Council Wright's question. Yes, you could definitely do that. So you could say further that council authorizes staff to proceed with option number 2 as outlined in staff report CS 2024-15, subject to an amendment to include disposal in accordance with the deaccessioning policy as the final step in the process.
so you'll move that? Councillor Wright?
Is there any other discussion first?
No.
Okay, so I'll make that motion then, Reeve. Thank you.
Seconder? Deputy Reeve? All in favor? Carried. 6.6.3 CS 2024-16 Wingham Town Hall Theater Operations Expression of Interest Results. Okay, at this time, are there any questions for Denise at this time? And then we need direction on which option for the council to give to our staff. Okay, I'm just going to read through the motion first, that the council of the Township of North Huron hereby receives the report from the Community Engagement Coordinator dated October 21, 2024, regarding the Wingham Town Hall Theater operations, expression of interest results for information purposes. And further, that the council directs staff to proceed with blank as identified in staff report CS 2024-16 as it relates to the contracting out of the Wingham Town Hall Theater options. May I have a mover and a seconder, and then we'll ask for the option.
No, so you need an option first. So staff at this time are seeking direction of as to whether council wants to proceed with option number 1 or option number 2, as noted in staff report CS 2024-16. For clarity for the public, and all those watching, option number 1 is to direct staff to draft a town hall theater operations service agreement. So this is the agreement that would formalize any arrangement with the private theater company that has submitted the bid. I would outline your duties and responsibilities of the parties, the term of the agreement, revenue splits, and that agreement would come back for council's consideration prior to any execution of it. Or option number 2, which is provide direction to staff to not contract out the theater operations. So if this was the preferred option, council or staff would continue to provide that service internally as is currently occurring. However, staff would staff will continue to provide in accordance with the policies and procedures of the township. So
Thank you. So may I have an option from somebody? Deputy Reeve, go ahead, please.
Thank you. Through you, Reeve. I'd just like to clarification first on both options there. As they are written here, there's no clear option stated by the staff. The staff has currently been operating the theater for the past number of years. I would just like to staff have any recommendations on either of the options, or are they neutral?
Mhm. Both have pros and cons. Both have been weighed out. It is a good option to have our service done with an agreement by a third party because their expertise. But if the council's decision is to have staff continue running the theater the way it is now, staff would support that.
Councillor Wright or somebody here?
Yeah, through you, even just of interest to council, through the BAA, I'm aware of the intentions of the proponent. It actually sounds quite exciting. They actually plan on investing money, upgrading the lighting, and possibly doing some other improvements as well. And the person involved actually does have a history in the town. So it's not just outside entity that with, strange to the town that wants to do this. They've got a history of here as well. So I'll allow further discussion though before I make a motion.
Thank you very much. Is this service agreement only for operational, or is it what Councillor Wright is talking about, also improvements, and does that include that they're going to paint something or adjust the stage or make green rooms or anything like that?
So really the theater is owned by the township. So any capital and things like that would be under the township's say and permissions. This would just be for the operations.
Okay, and if I may, is it, there is no time limit, it's not a 5-year agreement or a 1-year agreement to try out first and see how it all works? Would that be an option or not?
So in one version of the report, I believe I had given a recommendation for a 2-year trial period. I'm just going through the report that was actually finalized.
So if I may, Your Worship.
Sure.
So with option 1, staff would draft this agreement and it would come back to council. So if there were any of the conditions in the agreement, the duties, the term that council wanted to provide direction on at that time, you could. Generally, we try to align agreements so that they get to be considered in the term of council. And we would also try and align it in a way where council's not lame duck. Right, so based on that, if a proposed start date was 2025 and you trial it for a year, that would give this council the ability to consider it again before the potential that the council's in lame duck.
All right, thank you.
Can I further to that comment through you, Reeve? So you have to understand the business of the theater. They do run multiple months in advance. So a 1-year trial is fine, but really if you had a 2-year trial, you would be able to evaluate it during an active year. So something new could come and start for that next January 1st. So just be mindful of that that competing time frame. I don't want someone or somebody in the position of not being able to take a booking just because they're waiting for us.
Thank you. Counselor, I think you said you'd have an option there, please.
Yeah, so through you, Eve, I'll recommend option 1 in the motion that we direct staff to negotiate town hall theater operations service agreement.
Now I need a seconder. Deputy Reeve. All in favor? Carried. Thank you very much. Denise. 6.6.4 Midterm Council Bus Tour. That the Council of Township of North Huron hereby receives a report of the CAO dated October 21, 2024 regarding a midterm council bus tour for information, and further that the council directs staff to organize and host a midterm half-day bus tour for council before the end of 2024 to provide an update on projects that are underway and projects that need to be considered before the end of term of council. Okay, at this time, are there any questions for our CAO? Okay, Barry, mover, please. Deputy Reeves, seconder. Councillor Whitfield. No other discussion? Okay, go ahead, please.
Through you, just was wondering if it would be advantageous to invite any other I guess I don't know whether I don't know how to put it there. We had a bus tour with the with some developers a while back, and it was fairly successful. I was wondering if since there's only 7 of us, whether that invitation would be pertinent to outside. No, it may not be. I'm just asking a question.
CEO, please.
Yeah, through your worship. So the intention is really more capital projects that we're undertaking right now in terms of just to help. So council, it's one thing to sit here and you read about it. What we'd like to do is take you out and show you on the landscape in terms of, so it's really capital project focus, but certainly we can do another or separate tour for developers, which we've done in the past. So that's certainly not off the table, but that's really what the intention of this tour is for.
Okay. Councillor Wright, go ahead.
Yeah, a follow-up question. So we had a tour before, and although we did go into some things like community theaters and stuff, or community centers, we didn't go into, say, water, wastewater treatment plant operations. Just wondering, maybe we have to wear special PPE, but maybe is there an opportunity to kind of get more detailed tours?
Go ahead, Director.
Through you, Reeve, we could definitely arrange that you guys can get into some of the water wastewater facilities that would be possible.
Appreciate that. Thank you. Okay, do I have a mover? All in favor? Carried. Correspondence requiring action or direction. At this time, we have Catherine Ayers. She has a petition for the Blythe Library relocation. Go ahead, Catherine, please come up to the podium there, please.
Good evening. I'm aware that you all have a copy of the petition. I want verbal record that there's almost 400 signatures on it. I'm confident there would have been more if I had had time to go around a second time to the homes where people were not home at the time. I just want to make it noted that we understand it's a proposal, but proposals do have ends. And we are hoping you will consider what the residents of Blythe want, and that is for the library to stay where it is when you do come to conclusion on this proposal. I will state one small thing. There were a number of people, including myself, who agree that there are areas where arenas and libraries are combined and they work. What we don't want, all of the residents of Blythe, is the library on the second floor. That's our biggest issue. We don't want it in the arena, but if it has to go there, we don't want it on the second floor. All right, and that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Okay, Deputy Reeve, please.
Yes, thank you, through you, Reeve. Thank you for coming forward and and providing the petition to council. I'd just like to clarify the township has the responsibility to look at whenever they're looking at relocating or allocating resources, to look at all of their assets. Council has never received a report, or council has not received a report yet back on the facilities that the municipality owns currently, which was facilitated in the request for staff to provide that information back to us. That information about the second floor and about the accessibility and what would all be involved to disregard the upper floor as an option would have came through with that information, or would come through with that information. So I was just, the petition was a little ahead of itself. Council hasn't even seen any information back yet to even propose using the second floor, much less using any of the other facilities that the township owns. So it kind of got ahead of itself in the neighborhood. I guess it was with social media or whatever, but the thoughts of even putting in the process of it being up there haven't even been discussed or even flushed out as to any position. So I thank for the petition, but it's a little early for something that may never even be considered. But thank you for your petition.
May I speak on that?
Okay, go ahead, Catherine, please.
I understand there's other avenues to look at. It's all part of the process for the proposal. But as a jumping ahead of the gun on a petition, absolutely not. We have every right to voice our opinion prior to any input on this proposal, because we want our voices heard, that when this proposal does go through all its steps and it gets to the final decision, regardless of where it's put, we want our decision and what we would like taken seriously.
Oh, we appreciate that very, very much, Catherine. And I know Director Stice has been jotting things down, and so just appreciate that very much. Thank you. Okay, Clerk Lamb, do you have?
Yeah, so under council's petition policy, council has this discretion whether to accept the petition. Council's decision is final. So really you have a couple options. You could receive the petition for information purposes, which means basically you're going to take it into your considerations as this process continues to move forward, or you could accept the petition and direct staff to include a motion to reconsider your previous motion from the September meeting, which was basically to ask staff to prepare a report back to council on exploring the feasibility of relocating to the Blythe Library. So those are basically your options, and council can take any direction that you see fit on the petition.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Wright, please.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to accept the petition for information purposes. That motion also included asking for a report for refurbishment of that community center. So I don't want to lose that information as well.
Thank you very much. Okay, I need a mover. Seconder, please. Deputy Reeve, please. All in favor? Carried. Okay, thank you very much, Catherine. Appreciate that. Okay, at this time, 7.2, the Blythe BIA Board letter request to change Blythe BIA meetings locations. And okay, I'll ask Clerk Lamb to divulge in a little bit of this, please.
Yes, so before council is a correspondence letter from the Global Board of the Blythe BAA. At this time, they're seeking council approval to relocate their meetings from the Blythe and District Community Center to Blythe Inn at 422 Queen Street in Blythe. And they've noted the reasons why in the letter portion of that correspondence. So ultimately, council needs to make a decision on their request one way or another.
Okay, thank you very much, Clerk Lamb. Okay, time for discussion at this time. Does anybody have anything they'd like to add at all? My only concern being at the Blythe BIA Summit, I know it mentioned about if you have a closed meeting, can that be held there, like as a closed meeting at that place without other people being in? Like that came through pretty strong from that summit they had down in Blythe at the BIA. So does I'm go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. If you're asking me as the board's representative or the
Yes,
council's
yes,
representative
yes,
on there.
thanks.
Being in a privately owned building, the only concern I have with their request here is the request is quite easily fulfilled in the current situation where the head of Blythe BIA is in control of the management of the room that they're using now or using now. I don't know how council could sustain that if that person was no longer the head to make that decision and was not, too busy to be on the BIA or to make a motion to move it from a public space to where it is. It would only be temporary. I can't, I mean, the head of the BIA doesn't own the premises. She's management. She has, they have the agreement to do that as their management. But if that she was no longer in that position, I mean, this motion would be a very short-term thing. Is the next president of the BIA going to be able to facilitate another option for the meeting to place, where this being in the township owned premise, it's always going to be open for the BIA's use. I just don't see how moving it to a private location and then having it open to the public. That's my only concern as a council representative. This is put forward by the BIA on their behalf. I know I abstained from it because it was coming to council from having any wording in it. So that's all but I just don't see how that's going to work out. It's only my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll maybe ask the clerk if he'd like to
Well, yeah, so I guess to your question, Reeve Heifer, yeah, so BIAs under the Municipal Act have the ability to meet in closed session for the same reasons that a municipal council does. BIAs, although they don't traditionally meet in closed session very often, they always theoretically could if the right provision applied. So any location would need to be able to accommodate a closed session meeting. As far as public versus private space, from an accountability and transparency perspective, a public space is always going to be the preferred option. That being said, staff definitely do acknowledge the acoustic issues up in the second floor, but there's certainly potential solutions. So one solution that Director Styson and I discussed is whether the small meeting room downstairs would be sufficient. It would solve your acoustic issues. It would still be in a public space, and I don't know how many members of the BIA are traditionally at the board meetings, but we believe that space could accommodate at least 20 people, and then potentially for the AGM meeting, where there's more, it could be held in the second floor, up in the hall again. So I guess those would be my comments as it relates to this, Your Worship.
Thank you, Clerk Lamb. Are there any other input from any council members, please? Go ahead, Councillor Wright, please.
Yeah, I'm just curious if the fire hall was considered as a meeting space as well, because it's got very good meeting facilities there.
So through Your Worship, that is currently your alternate EOC. So generally, we try to not have public meetings there, because if there was ever an emergency, that would be a very active place. The fire chief being here is probably the best person to speak to that. So if there's anything further that you wanted to add, but.
No, through you, Reeve, I just would echo what Carson had to say. It's probably not the best location in the event of an emergency.
Thank you very much, Fire Chief. Okay, Deputy Reed, please.
Thank you, through you. Yeah, I think as a return option, of putting the lower space hall as an option to them. I don't know whether they've ever considered that as an option, or whether that's ever been afforded to them, but you know, an average of 12 is a good meeting for a BIA. So it holds 20 people. I know the acoustics, and there's audio visual available there. That's not that's a little harder to keep bringing in and taking down upstairs, where it might be a little more favorable to the meetings.
Is that a motion? Okay, thank you. So I'll let you.
Yep, so
read that, please.
and again, Deputy Reeve, if this isn't what you're looking for, let me know, but it'd be something along the lines of that the Council of the Township of North Huron hereby denies the request from the Blythe BIA Board to relocate the meetings of the Blythe BIA to the Blythe Inn at 422 Queen Street, Blythe, and directs for the meetings to be relocated to the first floor, smaller meeting room at the Blythe and District Community Center to address the concerns related to acoustics.
Okay.
Is that sufficient?
We have mover, seconder. Councillor Wright. Any other discussion? All in favor? Carried. Okay, thank you. Council reports. I'd just like to give a little update in the Reeves report. We had the Diwali thing by Gurpreet down here at the Knights of Columbus. They're a great turnout, and he had different videos, and then he also had a group of dancers come in from Brampton. It was all well received, and plenty of food. Just a great afternoon for people, and very much appreciative for Gurpreet's action in getting this underway. And also Councillor Palmer and I, we had to meet with Girl Guides. They're doing it for their badges. So it was a good evening. Lots of questions from these girls. They're 11-year-olds. I got to go back a long time to just remember that, what they're like. And yeah, one of the questions came up. How many, what's the percentage that people go and vote? That was a question we gave the girls, and one said 75. The next one said 85. And the last girl, she said 50%. Well, she's within about two points of what it was for our area. So it was just a great night, and 101 questions. And one of the children were going to go home and see if their mom would go as a counselor next time. So it was good. Like, it was really entertaining. For the teachers, they had questions for us, and it was a real good time. I know the kids did learn something from it. It was a great time. Also, I just want to say thank you to the firemen for the fish fry they had yesterday. It was a great turnout. Got down there later on, and it was a full hall, and I'm sure it went over really well. Just the people getting out, mingling, and had a great time. Also, just one last thing we had on Saturday here is entrepreneur event for young children. They had it down at the complex here, and it's called Peta Place Business Children's Market. And some of these kids, the things that they presented to the public, and then they had things where they could sell that they made and whatnot. And then they had two people, the gentleman from Fogels came in and checked for the best business type entrepreneur, and a young boy got that with it was a real good really good sale he put on. And Brock Hodgins, again, being a local developer here, he went and picked out other ones that had great things. So it was just a real good thing seeing all the young children there. I'd say there'd probably be about 30 children there in all, and just the different things they had there. It might even be a bit more than that, but really good. A lot of brothers, sisters, or two sisters working at it. It was really well received, and they definitely want to come back next year. And it was just a great time. So kudos out to that group. Are there any verbal or written updates from members who sit on boards and committees? Quiet time for all. Okay, comments by members. Go ahead, Councillor McBurney, please.
Yeah, last Thursday and Friday, that was that R2R in Blythe. Has anybody ever introduced the parking lot there for those folks in Blythe? Because it was empty, people couldn't get to the post office, they couldn't get to the drugstore. Just
Yeah.
a comment.
Yep, nope, duly noted, and we'll make sure that comes forward next time. Thank you for that. That's right. Maybe there's a big sign there still on that roadway there too that maybe scared. It's all down the other day? Okay. Okay, okay. Notice of motion. Oh, okay. Any notice of motion? None? Okay, bylaws. 9.1 bylaw number 76-2024, repeal of taxi bylaw. May I have a mover? Deputy Reeve, seconder, Councillor Van Hitterson. All in favor? Carried. Bylaw number 77-2024, adoption of water and wastewater financial plans. May I have a mover? Councillor Wright, seconder, Councillor Whitfield. All in favor? Carried. Bylaw number 78-2024, pre-consultation bylaw. May I have a mover? Councillor Van Hitterson, seconder. Councillor Whitfield, all in favor? Carried. Bylaw number 79-2024, site plan control bylaw. May I have a mover? Councillor McBurney, Deputy Reeve, all in favor? Carried. Next means a committee of adjustment hearing will be held on Monday, November 4th at 5:30 here in the council chambers. The next regular council meeting will be held on Monday, November 4th, 2024 at 6 p.m. right here likewise. The next Blythe BIA board meeting will be held on Thursday, October 31st, 2024 at 8 a.m. at the Blythe and District Community Center. The next Wingham BIA board meeting will be held on Thursday, November 21st, 2024 at 6:30 in the Hot Stove Lounge right here in the North Huron Westcast Community Complex down the street. Are there any other announcements that I missed? Seeing none. Other business. Councillor Wright has a notice of motion. Would you like to speak to your motion, please, Councillor Wright?
Sure. Thank you, Reeve. So yeah, the purpose of this notice of motion is it's just a few different ones. Last year, when we got the revised fee schedule, we did have a lot of residents come to a meeting, over 100. They wanted a little bit more detail about what fees were changing. I think we heard fairly loud in Thursday in Blythe that some other residents also wanted that additional detail. And as well, a lot of the questions we were being asked by residents, if we had this report, we'd be able to keep it as a reference document that would be able to answer these questions through the year. So I'm really just introducing this notice of motion now, well ahead of the budgeting process, so that staff understand that you know, the request we're making for the details in the report.
Thank you.
Yeah, or we can get a secondary first.
Okay, all right, we have a mover, seconder would be Counselor Whitfield. Are there any comments? Go ahead, Counselor Van Hitterson, please.
Thank you very much. In addition to this motion, I would like to ask if Councillor Wright is okay with it to, for staff to, add a municipal comparison table with, all Huron County municipalities for, municipal tax assessment per $100,000 and how it compares to other municipalities.
Okay, I'll ask the two, Counselor Wright, Counselor Whitfield, if you're okay with that add-on.
Yes, I'm fine with that, Reeve.
I am
Yeah.
also.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Counselor Ben Hitterson. Seconder.
Yep, so your new motion would be that the Council of the Township of North Huron hereby directs staff to prepare a report that indicates what fees are changing, how much they are changing, the rationale of the change, the intended outcome and consequences of the change, and a municipal comparator table to accompany the annual review of the fees and charges bylaw.
We're gonna second, all in favor? Carried. No closed session. Conformatory bylaw number 80, 2024 conformatory bylaw. May I have a mover? Deputy Reeve, Counselor Van Hitterson, all in favor? Carried. Adjournment that the Council of the Township of North Huron agrees that there being no further business before council, the October 21, 24 regular council meeting will be hereby adjourned at 6:47. May I have a mover? Counselor Wright, seconder, Counselor Whitfield, all in favor? Carried. Thank you very much.